Okay, good morning everybody. Page 464, Dov, thank you for setting up for everybody. Parshat Tetzaveh. So, the previous parsha was Parshat Truma, which of course dealt with the construction or the measurements in order to construct. The actual construction is in a few parshas up, but exactly the measurements of how all of the vessels and the Mishkan itself, the tabernacle itself, should be constructed. Now, we are moving on to primarily moving on to the big day kahuna, the garments that the Kohanim would wear. We've mentioned before, let's lead off. Who let to start for us in Hebrew? Debbie, why don't you? Welcome back.
Thank you. Tetzaveh es b'nei Yisrael, vayikhu elech Hashem en zayis zach, kasis lamaor, lahalos ner tamid. Ba'ohel moed michutz laparochos, asher al ha'edus ya'arochoso Aaron uvonov me'erev ad boker lifnei Hashem. Chukas olam l'dorakom me'es b'nei Yisrael.
Beautiful. In English, Yosef, lead off for us, please.
Yeah. Now you shall command the children of Israel that they shall take for you pure olive oil, pressed for illumination, to kindle a lamp continually. In the tent of meeting, outside the partition that is near the testimonial tablets, Aaron and his sons shall arrange it from evening until morning before Hashem, an eternal decree for their generations from the children of Israel.
Okay, good. Okay, so that is the menorah that will be, the oil that will be burnt upon the menorah. Now let's go to the next set. So in Hebrew, Vatah HaKrev.
יפי.
Yafi. A reader of Hebrew.
ואתה הקרב אליך את אהרון אחיך ואת בניו איתו מתוך בני ישראל, לכהנו לי אהרון נדב ואביהו, אלעזר ואיתמר בני אהרון. My son is נדב. ועשית בגדי קודש לאהרון אחיך לכבוד ולתפארת.
Good. Someone take those two in English, please. Jill, you want to take that for us?
Now you bring near to yourself Aaron your brother and his sons with him. From among the children of Israel, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, to minister to me. You shall make vestments of sanctity for Aaron your brother, for glory and splendor.
Good. L'chavod u'letif'ares. Now, va'ata, we began, and you, Tetzaveh, shall command. Right? Two psukim later, v'ata, and you, hakrev elecha, shall bring close to you, Aaron your brother, etc., etc., etc. Who, of course, is Ata? Who is you that's being spoken to?
Moshe.
This is Moshe, right? Yet, and the Balaturno, I believe, points out, this is the only parsha from the time of Shemot, from the time that Moshe was born and was introduced to us. This is the only parsha where Moshe's name is not mentioned. The Ata, and you shall command, and you shall bring close Aaron your brother. Moshe's name is not mentioned in this entire parsha. There are those that explain, right? We just had, let's see, where are we now? Rosh Chodesh Adar was on Shabbos, Friday Shabbos. So the first of Adar was Shabbos, which means the 7th of Adar is Friday, this week. The 7th of Adar, the Vilna Gaon point, we know the 7th of Adar was both the birthday and the yortzeit of Moshe. When we say Moshe lived 120 years, it means day to day. The 7th of Adar is the month of Moshe's birth and the month of Moshe's death. Actually, the Gemara Megillah says that when Haman was drawing lots in order to determine which would be the day that he would designate as the final solution, the day where the Jews would be annihilated, and he drew his lots, right? He peeled poor Hu Agoral, that's Purim, the lots that were drawn. And it came out in the month of Adar. He was ecstatic because he understood this was the month where Moshe had died. So he viewed that as a good sign for the demise of the Jews. Their great leader died in this month. This is a very, very opportune month for them to be destroyed. What he didn't know was, just like Moshe had died in Adar, Moshe also had been born in Adar. Okay? But Moshe's Yortzeit is the 7th of Adar, and that always comes out during the week of Parshat Tetzaveh. So the Gemara says the reason why Moshe's name is not mentioned here is to let us know that Moshe is no longer with us. Now the Balaturim says that actually Moshe had this coming to him, because by the Chet HaEgel, by the sin of the golden calf, Moshe said to Hashem, forgive them. If not, mecheni na mesifrecha asher katafta. Erase me from the sefer, from the book that you have written. Right? If you're going to destroy them, Hashem said to Moshe, Moshe, I'm going to destroy them and I'll make a nation out of you. I promised the patriarchs that their children will become a great nation. Fair enough. They will. But it's going to go through you and I'll get rid of everyone else. And Moshe's response was, if you will not forgive them, then mecheni na, erase me, wipe me out, mesifrecha, from the sefer asher katafta, that you have written. Right? If that's the case, erase me. So in fact, Moshe was erased. Moshe was erased. He was erased from this parsha. Then Moshe's name is not mentioned at all. Why this parsha? So it could be according to the Vilna Gaon, as we explained, this is his Yortzeit. But there's another issue at stake over here. What is this parsha all about? What is the main point of this entire parsha? Right? We've begun it already. This is all about the big day kahuna. The garments of the Kohen. Who, of course, is the Kohen Gadol? Aaron. Aaron, of course, is Moshe's brother. Was this always the arrangement that was supposed to be set up?
No.
Actually, if we'll turn back, correcto, no. If we turn back to Shemot itself, where Hashem appears to Moshe at the burning bush, and he's trying to get Moshe to agree to be the one to approach Paro. Look on page 308. Well, actually, turn to page 301. Okay? 301.
That was the marathon?
Beyond amazing. Thank you.
Okay, 301 is where Moshe was shepherding the sheep of Jethro, Yitro's father-in-law, and he goes out there and he sees the burning bush. Moses, do not come closer, remove your shoes, right? Holy ground. Okay, Moshe hid his face. I've seen, page 33, I've seen the affliction of the people. I heard his outcry. I shall descend to rescue from the hand of Egypt. Okay? Moshe said, who am I that I should go to Paro? That I should take the children of Israel out of Egypt. Hashem said, I'll be with you. This is the sign I've sent you. You'll worship on this mountain, page 305. Moses says to Hashem, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, the God your fathers has sent me, and they say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? Hashem answers Moshe, Ekyeh asher ekyeh, I'll be asher I'll be. That it was sent me. God said further Moses, so you shall say to the children of Israel, etc., etc., etc. They will heed your voice, bottom of 305. You and the elders will come to the king of Egypt. Say to him, Hashem, God of Hebrews, happen to us now, please let us go. Okay, Moshe responded, page 307, chapter 4. They will not believe me. They'll not heed my voice. They will say, Hashem did not appear to you. Hashem gives them the signs. What's in your hand? A staff, throw it down, it became, etc., etc., etc. Page 309, verse 10. Moshe replied to Hashem, please, my Lord, I am not a man of words. Since yesterday, nor since the day before yesterday, since both your servant, I am of heavy mouth, heavy speech. Hashem says, who makes a mouth for a man? Who makes one dumb or deaf or sighted or blind? Is it not I, Hashem? So now go. I shall be with your mouth and teach you what you should say. He replied, please, my Lord, send through whomever you will send. Shlach na biyad tishlach. Send, please, with whoever you will send. Right? Some say he was referring to Aaron. That's who you used to send until now. Some say send with the one that you will send. Who's going to finish the job? Yoshua, Joshua will finish the job, bringing them into Israel. Send with him. At this point, the wrath of Hashem burned against Moshe. And we can understand, seeing all of this negotiations going on. And he said, Halo Aaron Achicha Halevi. Is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levi, the Levite? Yadati ki daber yidaberhu. I know he will speak. The Gaminehi Yotzei Lekotech is going out to greet you. V'racha v'samach b'libo. He will see you and he will rejoice in his heart. You will speak to him what I'll tell you. I will be for you as a mouth and teach you what should be said. He will speak for you to the people. He'll be like your pet, your mouthpiece. What happened over here? Halo Aaron Achicha Halevi. Aaron is being referred to over here as the Levite. Yes, Linda.
But Moses knows that he's also a Levite. He's
Good.
his brother.
Right? They're all Levites because they're all from the tribe of Levi. So what is the Torah emphasizing when it refers to Aaron, your brother, the Levi?
The priest?
So Rashi explains, Shaya atid liot Levi, v'lo Kohen. He was destined to be the Levi, not the Kohen. V'akahuna hayiti omer latzeit mimcha. And the kahuna, the priesthood, that would have come from you, Moshe. Me'ata. From here on, lo yihiyeh kain. That will not be the case. Elohu yihiyeh Kohen v'ata Levi. He will be the Kohen.
Wait, where is this?
I'm reading Rashi.
Oh, you're reading Rashi.
He will be the Kohen, and you will be the Levi. Shenemar, as it says, Ish Elokim, Moshe Ish Elokim, Banav Yikru al Shevet HaLevi. This is the Gemara, this is the Talmud, this is the sages teaching us this. So the emphasis on Aaron being a Levi is he's a Levi until this point. But right now there's going to be a transition. He will no longer be the Levi, he will be the Kohen. You, Moshe, were meant to be the Kohen, you will not be the Kohen. Right? The tribe of Levi, we know, that some of the tribe of Levi were chosen to be the Kohanim. That was meant to be Moshe and his descendants. It's not. It's going to be Aaron and
So is
his
that
descendants.
a gift or is that a punishment?
Punishment of Moses.
So the Gemara, the Rashi above that, says that wherever there is Vayichar Af Hashem, wherever it mentions anger flaring, there's got to be some repercussion. One opinion says that's always the case except here. Here there's no repercussion. We don't see anything that happened. The other one says, no, there was a repercussion. What's the repercussion? Right, he was demoted from Kohen to Levi, and Aaron was promoted from Levi to Kohen.
In my experience, I have observed that when people make mistakes or it isn't good for them, that Hashem makes an adjustment. And it seems like something made Hashem adjust who is going to be the Kohen Gadol and who, etc. Because, as you said, there was some sort of conflict
Yep.
that occurred, which even Hashem did, maybe he did anticipate, of course, he's Hashem.
Right.
But this seems to me it's an adjustment that's taking place here.
That's correct. And really, I think we view everything as an adjustment.
Yeah.
Adam and Chava leaving Gan Eden, once they'd eaten from the Eitz Hadat, it now required a new environment, an adjustment, a new Gan Eden for them, which would be outside of Gan Eden.
But Hashem
And it could very well be over here that Moshe, by his reluctance or refusal, whatever we'll call it, to go and be the one,
Yes.
right, showed himself that he could not be the Kohen. That is correct. That is correct.
Hashem saw his vast potential, which he could not see. So Hashem didn't make him go.
Correct.
He just adjusted the situation.
Correct.
Is that-
I would agree with that. Now coming back to us in Tetzaveh. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Leah.
On the other hand, Moses realized that Aaron is the older brother, and based on the history with Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph, the older one getting the top, being chosen or whatever.
Top billing.
And he felt that, I don't know what he felt, but they all did it wrong because, or not wrong, I wouldn't like to say wrong, but he felt that in his case, his opportunity is my older brother should be the leader, not me.
Okay.
And that was his humbleness.
Okay.
But, because that's why he didn't want to go, and then that's why Hashem said, your brother will rejoice in his heart.
Yeah.
Because he knew, Hashem obviously knows what was in his heart, and he was like, I don't want to usurp him.
Okay.
But then, so was it a gift or a punishment?
So actually, the question is asked.
Yes.
That one opinion says there was a repercussion. There was that Aaron was promoted. The other one says no. So one of them says that every time it says Charon Af, anger flared, there's a repercussion. And over here was a repercussion, demotion, demoted. Moshe demoted, Aaron promoted. The other one says no. Here there's no repercussion. So 1 second. But we have a klal, we have a rule which says Eilu ve'eilu divrei Elokim chayim. Right? Both are right. Right? Both are right. They're all the words of the living God. You know the famous story, right? They go to the rabbi, says, you're right. Right? He goes, the other goes to the rabbi, says, you're right. His wife says to him, how can they both be right? He says to his wife, you're right. Okay? Right? So over here, how can they both be right? How can we say Eilu ve'eilu divrei Elokim chayim, that they're both right? One of them says there was a repercussion, the other one says there was not a repercussion. So an explanation that's given, I think Chaim Shmulevitz gives an explanation as follows. They're both right. Was there a repercussion? Yes. Moshe became Levi and Aaron became Kohen. Was it a punishment? Did Moshe view that as anything being taken away from him? No. Therefore, there was no repercussion. Moshe had this Hine matov umanoim shevet achim gam yachad. The two brothers sitting together, he felt whatever Aaron had, it was as if he had it. Okay? Now, let's come back now to Tetzaveh. Yes, Dov?
Just very quickly, but Moshe was the very first Kohen Gadol. Hashem let him do the very first
Okay,
Avodah.
in terms of yes, the first day is at the okay. That's a nice point, Dov. What is our parsha going to be dealing with primarily? The Kohen Gadol, Aaron, and
His son.
his sons. Now, it's one thing if I'm vying for a position and I don't get that position. Fair enough, right? You can't get a position that you vie for. But let's say a person is vying for a position and they chose Mr. A over Mr. B. So now we say, Mr. B, we'd like you to please present the honors
Yeah.
to Mr. A.
Haman and Mordechai.
Huh?
Haman and Mordechai.
Asher Haman and Mordechai, but Moshe and Aaron.
Right.
Moshe and Aaron. This is an entire parsha that's dedicated to the role that Moshe was supposed to have, was taken away from him and given to Aaron. Nevertheless, v'ata hakrev elech et Aaron achicha. Moshe, you need to be the one who's going to do it. So on one hand, you've got to do this believe shalem with a full heart. You've got to do this magnanimously. You got to do this being fully there. However, Moshe's name is left out. In other words, it almost seems that from the perspective of Moshe, he's got to be fully there. From the perspective of Hashem, though, when this Torah is being dictated and written, v'ata, and you. Almost not to put it into Moshe's face fully. So this parsha, which is all about the Kohanim stepping up, Moshe's name is in a sensitive way not mentioned, leaving it out. The Vilna Gaon, if you keep the place over here, but just turn to the end of the parsha. I've mentioned this in the past also. But the Vilna Gaon mentions something which is pretty amazing going further. If you look on page 482, okay, in the Hebrew, after the parsha, so the very end of the Hebrew there, we have pay, which means paragraph, parsha, which means that there is a significant break over here in the Torah, a significant paragraph break in the Torah, and then it says kuf aleph pesukim. At the end of every parsha, it lists how many verses are there in this parsha. And every boy, when he realizes what his bar mitzvah parsha is, the first thing he does is he goes scampering to there to see how many psukim, how many verses do I need to learn from my bar mitzvah parsha? How long is my bar mitzvah parsha? One of my dearest friends, he hit the jackpot. He was parshat Vayelech, all of 30 psukim, the shortest parsha in the Torah. It's usually a double parsha, but he got it to a year that was not a double parsha, right? And then you have Naso, which one of my sons hit, right? Which is, I forget exactly, I think 160, 170. Okay, if you have a double parsha, then it can go even more than that. The Vilna Gaon says as follows: 101 psukim. Okay? So what do we hear from that? Not much. 101 psukim. Let's hear what the Vilna Gaon hears from that. He had said that Moshe's name is omitted specifically in this parsha because, what do we say? How do we start? Because this is around the Yortzeit. The Vilna Gaon said that Zayin Adar is the Yortzeit, is the date of passing of Moshe. Therefore, Moshe's name was omitted from this parsha in order that we would realize that Moshe is no longer here with us. It was during this week that we, so to speak, we lost Moshe. Now, did we lose Moshe? Did we lose Moshe? We have all the teachings of Moshe. Moshe is still alive and well. I forget which Rebbe it was, which Hasidic Rebbe it was. This was in Russia or one of those countries where they had the Tsar. Let's say in Russia, the Tsar had forbidden anyone to have a certain type of silk. It was Erev Pesach, and he told his attendant, already past the time of having chametz. He told his shamash, his attendant, I want some chametz. Rebbe, what? I want chametz. Go to every house here, find me chametz. I need chametz now. Rebbe, I'm telling you, I need chametz. Get me chametz. Shamash said, okay. And he goes to every house. The Rebbe needs chametz. We don't have. The Rebbe needs chametz. We don't have. Right? It's burned. It's gone. It was thrown into the river. It's burned. We don't have. He goes back to the Rebbe, and he's crestfallen. And he said, no chametz. I can't find any chametz. The Rebbe says, I want you to go around now and get me some of that silk that the Tsar prohibits. Right? Not to have any of that silk in your possession. He goes around to the houses, comes back with sacks filled with the silk. The Rebbe looks heavenward and says, Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, Mi ka'amcha Yisrael. Who is like your nation Israel? The Tsar, with his army and his police and his informers and his torture centers. He says there should not be any silk, and everyone has silk. And you and your Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu has died so many years ago, told us that you said we should not have chametz on this day. No police, no informers, no army, no prison. And you can't find a single morsel. You can't find a single crumb of chametz. Moshe is so much greater, so much stronger, so much more powerful than
The Tsar.
the mighty Tsar. So what do we mean that Moshe einenu? Moshe is not here. Moshe is with us every day. We're learning now Torah Moshe, Torah Tzivalanu Moshe. We're learning the Torah of Moshe. So what does it mean that Moshe is not here? So the Vilna Gaon says the answer is 101 psukim. That's the answer. Meaning, Moshe is spelled Mem, Shin, Hey. And he says every letter has its revealed part and its hidden part. For example, let's take in English, right? The letter D. Right? How do you spell the word for the letter D?
Not sure.
D-E-E probably. Right? Just the D is D. Right? How do you get to D? D-E-E. Every letter has its revealed part and has its hidden part. Let's go to Hebrew. Mem. How do you spell the word for the letter mem? Mem. Mem. Two mems. Mem. How do you spell the word for the letter shin? Shin. Yud. Nun. Shin. How do you spell the word for the letter hey? Hey. Aleph.
That's Adonai.
No, hey Aleph? No, not really. That's just hey Aleph.
Yeah.
Moshe. Now let's take the hidden part of each of those letters. So mem, you have a revealed mem and a hidden mem. Mem. Shin, you have a revealed shin and a hidden yud nun. So mem, yud nun. Hey, you have a revealed hey and a hidden aleph. Mem, yud, nun, aleph. Mem has a numerical value of 40. Yud has a numerical value of 10. Nun has a numerical value of 50. What are we at? 40, 10, 50. Aleph, 1, 101. So the Vilna Gaon says, granted Moshe, the physical representation of Moshe is not here in this parsha because Moshe died. But what do you mean Moshe died? He's more powerful than the Tsar. He's more powerful than the Tsar. Moshe hasn't died. Oh, because the inner, the pnimiot, the hidden aspects of Moshe, that is still with us every moment of our life. And that, he says, is alluded to by the fact that this parsha that doesn't have Moshe's name has Moshe's name. Has which part of Moshe's name? The hidden part of Moshe's name. It's exactly 101 psukim, which is, of course, the tally of all the hidden letters of Moshe's name. That's what the Vilna Gaon saw when he saw 101 psukim. I'm sure we would have had a little more time. We would have gotten that also. No problem at all. Yeah, I'm sure. I rushed everybody. That wasn't fair of me. I apologize. I shouldn't have rushed you. I certainly would have gotten that in no time at all.
Can I?
Yes.
In this parsha, wasn't this parsha, when he asked, "What is your name?" Right? The thought came to me like he didn't ask, "What do you do? What do you look like?" His name. It seems like almost irrelevant, but maybe that's also the hidden and the revealed.
Well, yes and no. A name represents the essence of what something or someone is.
Right.
In Lashon HaKodesh. So when Moshe is asking for his name, right, and Hashem, with all the different names that he has, represents the different ways that he deals with us. So Moshe is actually asking, which hanhaga, which way of dealing are you going to be dealing with the children of Israel?
But the Vilna Gaon, what you said it was the Vilna Gaon, he also was dealing with his name in a way.
With Moshe's name.
Moshe's name.
Yeah.
In the same, in a
Yeah,
sense.
a name is an
Only
essence.
he broke it apart and he
Correct.
analyzed it and the whole thing.
Correct.
But
Correct.
the other one is, what is his name?
He's saying when Moshe asked Hashem, what name should I give to Bnei Israel?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
when Yaakov was fighting with...
No.
Uh-huh.
But either one,
Yeah.
they still want
A
his
name, a name is the essence. And let's come to that right now. Let's go to the pasuk. Yes.
There's something else I think in this parsha that it doesn't have like sentences that is akif, like Vayomer Hashem to Moshe,
El
go
Moshe.
do go. It's like a direct, ועשית, ואתה הקרבת,
Right.
ותעשה, it's like a direct.
Right. It would seem
direct
because we're not having Moshe's
instruction
name.
from God straight to
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I mean, it would seem that because we're not having Moshe's name, so it couldn't be Vayidaber Hashem el blank lemor, right? So there was just ve'ata, right?
Also,
Yeah, but we're making an interesting point. It doesn't say Vayidaber Hashem,
Yeah,
Vayomer Hashem ata,
It's a straight.
Right.
It's a straight.
ve'ata. That is interesting.
It's God straight
Yeah.
to Moshe,
Yeah.
to Moshe, so
Yeah.
he's there all the time because it's an instruction straight to him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Now we're making Big Day Kodesh. We read in Pasuk Bet. We're making Big Day Kodesh, holy garments, Aaron Achicha, to Aaron your brother, L'chavod u'letifaret. As an honor, for glory, and for splendor. The Beit HaMikdash was overwhelming. I'm sorry, the Mishkan was overwhelming in its splendor and its glory. And the garments of the Kohen were regal. Certainly the Kohen Gadol, they were royal, they were regal. They need to be l'chavod u'letifaret. Why is all of this so important?
Because it's for service in a place of sanctity. You know, make a sanctuary, and as you've been saying last week, and I will dwell in you.
So why do we need all the gold? Well, God needs all the gold.
Is it because
All
they
the
came
silver?
out of Egypt and they were involved, they knew about the royal life, and now there's a contrast between what it was and what could be? I don't
Okay,
know.
that's what it's. Certainly God doesn't need it.
No.
And also
Right?
because
He is the representative of God.
Okay,
To
but
impress
but
people.
we need it.
That's right.
To
We
impress
need it.
people.
We need it. Right? We need it. Right? And that is why it is important for a shul, which is a mikdash ma'at, A, to be nice, and B, to be kept, to be maintained, right? If we see, well, on a couple of levels, if we see some books left around, they need to be, right? Take out the time to pick up the books, put it away, that when people walk into the shul, it should present properly. But, even if you've got a beautiful building that is maintained and preserved beautifully, that when a person walks in, there's a sense of reverence, of respect. But if they walk in and they see people
Playing cards.
playing cards, right? Or just, as we say, shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
So then what happens? As beautiful as it might be, as maintained as it might be, the sense of reverence, if we see people are treating it in a haphazard way, so then that also detracts. So it is so important that a shul in any makom kadosh, any place of holiness, it should be presented in as nice way as one can. It should be maintained. And then it must also be that the way that we act in there is one that promotes this sense of reverence, of respect, of godliness in a shul. That's all these garments, l'chavod u'letifaret.
No wonder Catholics.
I'm sorry?
No wonder Catholic churches are so elaborate. And people.
Yep. Yep. V'asita bigdei kodesh v'aron achicha. The garments. The garments need to be distinguished, honored. Now, where did garments begin?
Adam and Eve.
A long time ago. Adam and Eve. And human beings, no matter where we go, you go out to the rainforests where there are these tribes who have no contact whatsoever with what we call civilized world. Human beings cover themselves. They will cover their sexual organs. Unless they are making a statement not to, then the natural state is that a human being covers themselves. Now, you mentioned before about the names of Hashem, and I said that in Lashon HaKodesh, in Hebrew, a name reveals to us the very essence of what something is. In Hebrew, there are two words for garment. One of them is beged, and the other one is levush. Beged, garment, bet gimel dalid, also, that shoresh also means something else. Begida. What's a begida? Betrayal. Rebellion. Why would garment and betrayal have the same root?
Because of,
Oh, you cover yourself.
Right? The whole reason why we needed to have a beged was because of the begida. Right? It was that rebellion, that betrayal of Adam and Chava and Gan Eden when they did that which they were told not to do. Therefore, that's what led to the beged. Levush is lo bush. Maze bush, bosh, busha, which means shame, embarrassment. So we see in our amazing Lashon HaKodesh, where's Uzi? Right? That beged, garment, comes from the root begida, betrayal. Because of the betrayal, we needed to wear garments, and that then took away the bosh. Right? The Pasuk says immediately after Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve ate from the Eitz Hadat, and they were embarrassed because they were afraid, that because they were naked.
It's also a disguise. A betrayal is like a disguise.
Interesting.
Because people can change their clothes. They change the whole look, and
Okay.
it's their disguise.
Okay.
Purim.
Yes.
The sexual organs are called in Hebrew mevushim.
Mavushim. Interesting. Right? From the same word of bosh, of that which meant to be, right? Yes.
Any possible significance in the fact that the word beged is Beis, Gimel, Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dal. Anything like some kind of
interesting.
basic sequence that
It's
this
right
is
there in
very
order.
basic right at the beginning of the Aleph Beis.
That's very
That's
interesting.
the first thing that we should be considering.
That's
is
interesting.
A kind of sense of morality that comes with clothing and so on.
Interesting.
Just a thought.
That Aleph, right after Aleph,
Right Aleph comes Beis.
So
Gimel.
Aleph is God,
comes,
and Bet Gimel Dalet is the...
Rabbi,
that's interesting.
I have two
That's very interesting.
questions.
Yes.
What was Joseph's coat? Was it a beged or a levush?
Beged.
And
It was
also
called a
the
katonet. It was referred to as a katonet.
Yeah.
Katonet pasam. I don't think it was referred to as a beged.
Sure.
Oh, it could be, but they took off
He
the
gave
beged
him,
asher alav.
He gave him a gift, and he
Yeah.
gave him a
The
coat.
katonet pasim.
What was it? A coat, a katonet.
Yeah.
And then also, what was Jacob when Jacob had to go for the blessings with Isaac? Rebecca said, "Where put on? What was it?
The Gedi Zim.
Is it
Was it
the
referred?
clothes or
I'm
the
not sure what it was referred to over there. Take a look. I'm not sure what it was referred to as over there.
Huh?
Sky.
Yeah, the question is, what does the Torah refer to it
Is
as?
it a levusha? Is it a beged? No, I know, but here that's specific.
Oh, it's Big
saying
Day
beged.
Kahuna.
There's a difference. Aren't we pointing out that there's a difference? Why did the Torah say beged and not?
Rivka took the big day Esau.
So these
That Orokdi. It doesn't. It just says she took the hides of the goats and put it on there. Okay. Garments are called our kavod. Right? Garments are called our kavod. That is our honor. Okay? In other words, after eating from the Eitz Hadat, where there was this now separation, why did they become, let's go with this. Why from eating the Eitz Hadat, why did that result in their being embarrassed that they were naked? What's the connection? They went against God. So be embarrassed because you went against what God told you to do. Why was the immediate result nakedness and a sense of nakedness?
Exposing. They exposed them.
But they were exposed beforehand also.
But they
But they didn't know.
They did not realize.
Their error wasn't exposed. Their error. They were all good. Everything was
But
good.
very good. So how did this why did it manifest itself in an embarrassment over being naked?
Perhaps they, after all this serenity and sort of a shalom Aden, shalom bayit, they were exposed to now that there could be many, many emotions like passion, which are not.
Okay,
even.
so there seems to be this new passion that's being introduced that needs to be somewhat controlled. And a beautiful mashal that I heard, that I think I've shared here before, is, we've all gone horseback riding. And besides the saddle, the horse was not wearing anything at all. We do not find that embarrassing. Why? Because it's a horse.
The horse doesn't mind it.
Right? The horse doesn't mind. I don't mind. Right? What does that have to do with me? Right? Beforehand, they had this das, this understanding, this clear sense of self, that they are this Yitzir Kapav of Hashem, this creation of Hashem, this pure creation of Hashem, who has a physical body. The physical body is a mode of transport while they are in this world. So it was like a horse. If that's naked, what does that have to do with me? Once they ate from the Eitz Hadat, now there is this passion that is unleashed. There is this confusion, this identity crisis. Who am I? Am I this spiritual being? Am I this physical being? At that point, it was no longer the horse that was naked, but all of a sudden the emperor has no clothes. It's the emperor on the horse who is naked. And all of a sudden, garments are meant to be our kavod, our honor, in that it subdues, it covers over our physical self and shows that we are not just physical beings. I always say, if you go to a fancy dinner, right? If a man will come there in sandals, or in a what is it called?
T-shirt.
Or an undershirt, tank top,
Wife beater.
right? I don't like using that term, right? Comes in a tank top, right? That is considered very, very inappropriate for a formal dinner. Right? A man will come, tie, buttoned up. The only part of the body that's exposed, the hands from the wrist, not a short sleeve shirt. No arms, please. Right? Hands from the wrist and head from the neck up. Because that is saying, I'm not coming there as a bodybuilder. I'm not coming there to show off my physique. I'm coming as a fully human being who has nothing to do with my physique. Therefore, what do I have? I have my accomplishments, my hands, and I have my head, my thoughts. That's what I am. I don't want you to be distracted by anything else, because that's not what I'm about. If I'm going to interview at a law firm, and I come there showing off my abs and my biceps, right? They'll say, very nice, we might need a doorman. Let's send you downstairs. We might need a bouncer in case we have any unruly clients who come in here who will need to be subdued. You're the man. But if you're representing as Mr. Biceps, Mr. Abs, that's not here. We're looking for Mr. Head and Mr. Hands. That is what garments are meant to be. Garments are meant to cover over the physical in order that we don't get distracted. Forget about distracting others. So that we don't get distracted about who we are. That's garments in their essence. Now, for Aaron Achicha, for the Kohen Gadol, for the other Kohanim, they will be truly glorious, representing the role that they are playing as the ones who were chosen to serve as the shluchei, the representatives of the children of Israel in the avoda, in the divine service that is being done. So bigadim, this is getting to the essence of what a garment is, and it's meant to give kavod, to give honor, not about the physical sense, not about the physical self, but about who the person truly is and the role that they have been granted.
Okay, so taking it to society today, there's
I was leaving that for everybody to draw their own conclusions. Yeah.
So you don't judge a book by a cover, whatever. So, but the first thing you see is someone's outer body. So when you meet someone, so if you go into Lakewood, and the majority of people are wearing very similar attire, so the assumption is that these are very whatever, they're more frum, they're more pious, we're religious, whatever. But that can be deceiving. And we think out what we're going to wear in the morning when we put on our clothes. So we're carefully thinking how we want to present ourselves out in public. Just like the people who choose to wear very little when they go out in public are thinking just as much about what I don't want to be worn because they want to be perceived a certain way. So I think that it really is a huge statement of who we are, not just because you become while you dress.
Yeah.
And so from a sneeze perspective, there's something really amazing when you know that you're dressing sneeze, and even if the outside world, in Irvine, has no idea what that means, it does change how you act and how you...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So
excellent.
what you put on your body, so it's not just judged by the outer world, but it really becomes who you are internally too. So if you're wearing what, Madonna or Pink or whatever the newest ones are wearing, they want people to be perceived a certain way, and they're feeling a certain way. And just like if we choose to dress more seriously, it also is characteristic of how we're going to.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point, Ali. And tzniut is not. It's tzniut, modest dressing, is often misrepresented as you don't want people to be it's being done for others, but that's not really what it's at. It's when we present ourselves a certain way, then we are viewing ourselves and we are self-identifying in a certain way, right? And it's really about, the question is often asked, why are there so many, why are the tzniut restrictions on women more stringent than they are on men? And the wrong answer, an incorrect answer that's given is, well, guys and their roving eyes, so the woman need, that's not what it's about, right? If you look, and certainly in our society we see it very clearly today, right? Anorexia, right? Anorexia, which is out of control in this day and age. What's percentage of boys and percentage of girls who suffer from it?
More girls.
More girls.
1.5%.
I'm sorry?
1.5%.
Girls are more
Are boys. 1.5%, 98.5% are girls, 1.5% are boys. Why? Because society
Exactly.
objectivizes, is that the right way of saying it?
Yeah.
I think so?
Yeah.
That's it. It's your department. Objectifies, yes. Yes. Objectifies, that's better, thank you. Objectifies females to a greater degree than it does men. Not 98 to
It
1.5.
imposes a role on them
Right.
that they really
Right.
would turn away from if
Right.
they would realize what that role is.
It objectifies,
Yeah.
right? And therefore, it's not that the guys are looking, right? They might be, but that's not the issue, right? The issue is their self-awareness and their self-identity and how they are. The way they project is the way they'll feel about themselves. And in a society where there is so much objectification, that was correct, right? So then, right, we need to step back from that for their emotional and mental health. That is really what the laws are about.
Don't try to change that.
Yeah.
That's what we're
but,
here for, right?
But the garments are l'kavod or l'tiferet. They're meant to be for the glory of showing who the person truly is and what role they are playing. Yes, Leah?
When you were saying the image of being dressed just with your hands and your head showing as the top-notch form of respect, that is where we are different to a horse or an animal. Because we have a brain, and we can decide, let's build this, let's do this, let's do that. No horse can say, hey, let's all build a stable together. And it doesn't matter how you dress the horse. Even if you dress the horse with gold, they still, put food there and they're all going to race to the food. They're not going to go, oh, we in our gold, let's all get cutlery and eat the cutlery at the beautiful table.
But they will build some pretty sophisticated domiciles also. Beaver is pretty amazing what they do, right? The real difference is the moral decisions that we make.
But that's what makes us different to an animal. We
Correct.
definitely are much higher than an animal. All
Correct.
human beings. Well, I guess we.
All human beings.
Yeah, we have the potential to be
Correct.
better than an higher
can
than
choose.
an animal.
We have an neshama.
Only by our hands, by what we do, and by our head, by how
Correct.
we think. Other than that, we are exactly like. We have sexual reproduction, and all that makes us exactly the same as an animal.
Yep.
So those are the only two areas where we're different, and that's why we uncover them.
Yeah. I spoke a couple of weeks ago on Shabbos about basar v'chalav, right? Why are we so obsessed with basar v'chalav?
What is basar?
Milk and meat. Not mixing milk and meat. So just very quickly, Rav Hirsch says that the basic functions of any organism is nourishment and reproduction. That's all that plants do. They draw in their nourishment and they reproduce. An animal adds in mobility and a certain degree of thought, but puts all that towards nourishment and reproduction. Now, what best represents nourishment and reproduction is milk, because that is the nourishment that is made to supply that which comes from reproduction. And mobility is best represented by meat, muscle. Therefore, with an animal, there's complete integration between the milk and the meat. Meaning its mobility and thoughts are used fully for reproduction and nourishment. So there is this complete integration between the milk and the meat. A human being needs to recognize that we have a third component. We have this soul. We have this chelak elokam imal. And therefore, our life cannot be simply about utilizing our human capacities for nourishment and reproduction. We need to go far beyond that. And therefore, we are not allowed to not only eat, but we're not even allowed to cook or to derive any benefit from milk and meat. That's what Rav Hirsch explains. It's a chok. That's what Rav Hirsch gives us an understanding in that. There needs to be a complete separation of this animal part and the vegetative plant part to recognize that we are not this sophisticated plant whose only concern is the nourishment and reproduction. All right? And that's the idea that you're saying, that we need to be above that. And that's what we focus on, and the way that we dress represents that kavod and that tiferet. Okay, my friends, we'll call it over here. Yes, Chicago.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. That was wonderful.
Excellent.
Can I ask you
Rabbits and
about
Yes.
what I had said about
Yeah,
my son asked me to help
Welcome
him
back.
about it.
Yes.
The other Rabbi's son,
Thank you, Tov.
who will be the